My name is Jasper Hazel. I'm the Estate Chief Executive of Castle Howard. The estate is 9,000 acres and it's a mixed-use estate. We have a combination of pasture, arable and 2,500 acres of woodland. We have tenant farmers who farm about half of the estate and we farm the other half in hand. And then we have a large proportion of parkland and gardens around the house. It's a house which is still lived in by the Howard family, and that's quite unusual these days. So it's great to have them here and very much involved in the day-to-day running of the estate. We have about 270,000 visitors a year to the estate. It's open 364 days a year, and we obviously cater for a heritage audience as well as people who come to enjoy the natural environment. There are three pillars to the estate strategy. We have Restore, Regenerate and Revive. Restore is about the heritage buildings that we have on the estate, including the house, but other monuments in the landscape which you can see, like the Mausoleum and the Temple of the Four Winds and various other historic farm buildings. The Regenerate pillar is around how we regenerate our landscape. That includes improving the soil health, improving biodiversity, sequestering more carbon in the woodlands that we have and the arable lands and how we manage them. And Revive is the final pillar, which is really focused around reviving our communities. We have 5 estate villages and over 200 houses which we're landlord to, and we can make a big influence to those communities by changing the way that we manage those. In partnership with Fera, we've done a landscape assessment of Castle Howard and created the natural capital baseline of the 9,000 acres. That involved several steps. Firstly, taking high definition satellite imagery and then running that through a computer assessment and also scientific assessment of what habitat parcels Castle Howard was comprised of, and there were over 6,000 of those parcels. Then there's an element of assessment by scientists in areas that aren't clear by the high definition photography, and those are done by ground truthing. So ecologists will come out on the ground and they will make sure that what the algorithm or what the pictures say is actually on the ground, and that gives you a 95% accuracy, which is pretty incredible given the old-fashioned ways of doing it with a set square and extrapolating it up. So the benefit to us of going through this process has been that we now have a really rich baseline from which to make decisions, and that can help us determine how we change certain land management operations. So if we are perhaps farming in a way that is not good for sequestering carbon, as we've discovered on some of our arable land, what changes can we make to improve that going forward? And then the baseline gives us a tool against which we can measure those changes going forward. And we have a lot of environmental stewardship schemes going at the moment, but we can do better. We definitely think we can do better, and this is certainly a great foundation for us to start doing that. As you can imagine, the estate has a lot of demands on its land, whether it's amenity, the environment, profitability, housing. So we've got a lot of factors to consider, but we are now using this as a core pillar, as I mentioned earlier, to our strategy, and so the natural environment will be central to everything we do and decisions we make. And certainly, this baseline is an incredibly rich piece of information for us to start that journey. So the next steps on this for us will be to do a detailed soil baseline to complement the natural capital baseline that we have. So that's the soil health, the carbon we store in our soils, the biology that we have in our soils, and the general health, so that we can make improvements to our land management, which then make improvements to our soil, and we can measure that going forward. And Fera are working with us on devising a programme so that we can measure every 2-3 years and see our progress against where we were. The next piece of the jigsaw is then scenario testing, so understanding what do we do with different parcels, what's the best decision in terms of land use and how that meets a number of objectives, that whether that be carbon sequestration or biodiversity or gross margins in terms of our profitability. And so we'll be able to use a model, a platform that's fed with the information that we have got from the natural capital baseline, and use that for future land management decisions here at Castle Howard, which we think is important. The mantra that we use is data before decisions, so hopefully it'll be a useful tool in that.